He's the very first athlete to win an Olympic gold medal in snowboarding. This was back in 1998. He also represented his home country of Canada. Ross Rebagliati. Ross, how you doing, man?
Good, thanks. How are you guys?
Very good, thank you. Well, first off, the hype's starting to build up about the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver. When you competed in the Olympics, this was back, I believe, in 98 in Japan, right?
Yep.
So describe the hype then, and how was it? I mean, this is the first year that snowboarding was finally getting recognized. Like what was the feel? Were people excited back then about you doing this, or was it still kind of under the radar?
Well, within the industry, everybody was, on their toes waiting for it to happen because we all kind of found out about it in '94, and so we had the 4 years kind of a build-up for it. And of course, snowboarding was becoming more and more mainstream, but it didn't really get to that status until after the games. But as far as we were concerned as racers, especially like myself and probably about a dozen other guys knew that there's only so many guys that could win, and we're all ranked in the right rankings to be competitive for those games. And
right.
So it was really exciting for us.
And I remember very vividly, your name came up not as much or just as much for the medal as for, in my opinion, a very stupid controversy regarding the drug testing. And to catch people up, I mean, you basically, maybe you can explain it better than me. What exactly happened that led up to this drug test, and what happened after?
Well, the drug testing was, something that we all expected, and we all, thought that we were, going to be totally good as far as testing. No one was, that I knew was taking anything performance enhancing or anything.
Right.
And then of course, you have the whole marijuana thing, which we totally thought we had covered by stopping smoking it,
right.
Ages and ages before, our event. Like we're talking like, it was like June or something like that, and then the event was in February. And anyhow, as it turns out, you have to not be around secondhand smoke as well, because
your hair, right?
In that test, it tested positive for it.
Uh-huh.
I would have passed any work test, or if I was going to try to be an airline pilot, I would have passed, those tests. So it was a very minute amount, which normal tests don't really even pick up.
And just to catch people up here, so Ross Rebagliati, when he won the gold medal, shortly after it was revealed that you tested positive for marijuana, they temporarily took your medal away, and then you won an appeal. Is that correct?
Yeah, eventually I did go to the Court of Arbitration after losing the first two appeals, and by a very small margin. In fact, only by one. And in past Olympics, they gave the benefit of the doubt to the athlete with only one vote against them.
Uh-huh.
So it was a pretty, groundbreaking thing that happened. But as it turns out, in the Court of Arbitration, they just reviewed the list of banned substances, and the simple fact of the matter was that marijuana wasn't on it.
So why were they testing for it if it wasn't on it?
Well, they were, obviously testing for steroids and performance enhancement. But what it showed was everything that you have in your system. It seems like they took it upon themselves to kind of enforce phantom rule, and it caused a lot of turmoil, and I had sponsorship issues. And
right.
It wasn't exactly, I'm glad I appealed it, and obviously to keep my medal, because I don't feel like I cheated in any way, and I totally beat everybody. And those guys I know all those guys. They're all like, they know what to
dude. And not to mention, it's snowboarding. It's one of those chill, laid back sports, and that's besides the point, is the fact that marijuana in no way enhances your. I remember vividly when this whole thing happened, and you had the entire support of the snowboarding community and beyond that, because everyone just thought, like, how silly is this? Why take an athlete's medal away for doing something that has nothing to do with athletics?
Right. I mean, you're absolutely right. It absolutely doesn't, and but we were still trying to conform to the new sort of snowboard future, which included the Olympics, and we all decided that we were gonna not like all of us were smoking dope or anything.
Right.
Just saying, like, in general, like everybody who was involved with this.
We have Ross Rebagliati, the very first Olympics medalist in snowboarding, and again, you won the gold medal back in 1998, the very first snowboarder to do it. So what are you doing now? I mean, 12 years later, What is Ross Rebagliati up to?
Wow. I got a lot going on right now. I just had a baby boy, Ryan Enzo.
Congratulations.
Thank you. He's over 2 months old. That's been interesting. I've been riding.
Are you getting any sleep?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he's a good baby.
Good, man.
So yeah, he's not crying too much at night anymore.
Dude, you've been snowboarding since the beginning. I mean, you're one of the pioneers of snowboarding. Are you happy with the way snowboarding has progressed to where it is today?
There's good parts and not so good parts. I think the way snowboarding has developed so quickly. It's been a phenomenal sight to see, and the way that it's developed its own culture and its own sort of fashion and everything like that goes along with it is like, I think it's a great thing. Sometimes there's a little bit of attitude in snowboarding that kind of gets to me a little bit. I wish that it wouldn't be quite as aggressive, not as gangster, but
right.
I think that it's just part of kids growing up and kind of doing their own thing and not being, I did exactly the same thing when I was, I started when I was 15, a year before I was riding Canada, and that was in '87, and the last thing we wanted to do was anything our parents asked us to do. So
exactly.
I'm not really. I think snowboarding's got its good points and its not so good points, but all in all, it's like an amazing lifestyle.
And you were out there. I mean, you're snowboarding the days when only very few resorts were even allowing it at the time. So I guess that's one way, a good sign of progress, the fact that you can snowboard at pretty much any resort now. Except for, I think, back in the U.S., there's still 3 resorts left that don't allow it. I don't know. Is it allowed in every resort in Canada now?
I believe it is. Probably it is. There may be a private resort. I think actually in Ontario there is a couple of those club resorts that don't allow snowboarding. But ironically, the run that we raced on in Japan at Nagano, that mountain doesn't allow snowboarding, and we were segregated to like one run to train on, and then the race hill, obviously.
That's ironic.
And to this day, we still can't snowboard there. So.
That's amazing.
It is.
So if you wanted to retrace the steps of Ross Rebagliati in the '98 Olympics, you can't do it.
No, you cannot.
That's classic, man. Are you gonna make an appearance at the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver?
Actually, we'll be making appearances involved with Roots and some of their private Olympic parties, plus up at their Roots stores in Vancouver and up at Whistler. As far as official capacity, nothing really as of yet officially to do with the 2010 games, but I'm going to be there and watching all the cool events, and all the events are cool. I've got my favorites, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be interesting, to say the least.
Beautiful. And just real quick, taking a step back to the controversy back in '98, you never let go of your medal, right? I mean, you always held on to it that whole time.
Technically, they were supposed to have taken it off my person, as they say. But they never did, and I was waiting for them to the whole time, and I had it in my pocket, and afterwards, when I regained my medal status, they said, we were supposed to take it from you. We told them we did take it from you, but they could tell by looking at me that taking it from me would have been, traumatic for everybody involved, not just, me. So they decided to let me hang on to it and just wait for the very last minute before officially. I actually looked for hiding spots for it to sort of stash it, and sort of, like in the hotel, and say, someone took it already. I don't know. So, I'm gonna go back and get it.
That's awesome, man. I mean, believe the entire snowboarding community. I mean, I still remember that whole thing vividly, and it was such a happy ending. We were so relieved that justice, was served, and you're able to keep that medal, and I'm really happy that happened. And congratulations on the baby and all the success. RossRebagliati.com is your website if you want to catch up on what Ross is doing nowadays. And thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your time, man. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if anyone needs to buy a house in Kelowna.
RossRebagliati.com. Thank you so much, Ross. Take care, man.
All right. Okay. Thanks again.
Beautiful.
Bye for now.
Later.